All right. So listen up. So yesterday was our algebra 1 review, right? So there was a playlist of videos that you could rewatch to get your brain back into Algebra 1 mindset. And then you had practice problems to complete for that, correct? Okay. All right. Today we're on 2B.1, writing mathematics sentences, okay? And this is our intro to inverses, all right? So I'm going to tell you when to write, but for right now, we're just going to talk. Got it? We're going to just talk about some stuff, analyze how things are changing, and then we'll go from there. Okay, we're going to start off with a little bit of a math discussion, a little conversation. Don't know why it came out like that. I have no clue. I was having issues getting the word conversation out of my mouth. Yeah, it just wasn't working in my brain. Not at all. All right, so math conversation taking place. So up here we have 4 things that if someone asks you to do, you do them, and then they tell you to undo it. What would be the undoing of these things? That's what we're going to talk about. So if I told you to turn on the TV, Ivan, and you do that, then what would be the undoing of that? Turning off the TV. You're a genius. I knew it. Okay. All right. Luis, if I told you to place a book in your backpack, what would be the undoing of that?
Taking it out.
I mean, it's true.
That's not undoing it. That's what you would do with it. Okay. Yes, the one I was looking for was taking it out. But I love where you went with it, though. I get it. I saw where you were going. Okay. Kelly, if I told you to type the word math into your device, what would be the undoing of that? Untype.
What's the answer to that one?
These are I'm loving these from y'all. I'm loving it. Undoing?
Not doing it at all.
I would believe it would be deleting. Right?
Backspace.
Oh, backspace? Okay, backspace the word. Got it. Cool. All right. All right, Jalen, here we go. I told you to put a sock on and then put a shoe on. What would be the undoing of this? Come on, Jalen. What would be the undoing? No. What would be the undoing? There we go. You have to take the shoe off first and then take the sock off.
You can take the sock off with the shoe.
You really could?
Yeah. I'll show you how.
It's okay. Thank you for having us back, though. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. What we're talking about here these are undoings, right?
Yes.
In mathematics, when we do that, it's not called undoing. We use a different word. But we need to understand what math words could be used or things that I could say. So this is a list of words that you should have learned in elementary that represent addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division.
All I know is the minus, plus, the X, and the line.
If I cut this paper into 2 pieces. Well, you told me use the word cut. All right. So these are words, according to the interwebs, that in elementary school you should have learned meant to add, subtract, multiply, and divide to some level of degree. Yes?
Yeah. Why does it say farther?
Farther.
Farther? If I went further than you, how much further than you did I go? Yeah. Then, there's some little gaps in your education, but hopefully you're at this point where you have enough, reading skills and comprehension that you could, right? All right. Now, thinking about what we have here, addition and subtraction, they are opposite operations of each other, right? They undo one another, correct? Multiplication and division, they undo one another. Are you with me? Okay, so when we have a conversation about undoing things in mathematics, it's called an inverse, right? I'm asking you, what is the inverse? All right. So Joshua, what is the inverse of adding 3? Subtracting 3. Make sense? Okay, Destiny, inverse of multiplying by 5. Okay, hit it. Annabelle, what? Oh, whoa.
Five. Wow.
What is the inverse of subtracting 2? Add 2. Yosgar, what is the inverse of divide by -4? Say, I can hear you. 5. What kind of 4? No, that's a big misconception. When you are dividing or multiplying by a negative number, that negative has to stay there. Okay. That negative and that number are best friends. They are attached. They go together. So if I divide by -4, to counteract it, I'm going to multiply by -4. Okay. All right. Who would like to tell me what if I square a number? How am I gonna? There you go. Square root of a number. All right. Let's get a little harder. If I add 3 to a number and then multiply by 5, how do I undo that?
Subtract 3 and then divide by 5.
There we go. We're going to divide, then we subtract. Okay. We're going to divide first by 5, and then we subtract the 3. Okay. Think back to the sock and the shoe, right? When I think about the sock and the shoe, when I put on the sock and I put on the shoe, I had to start with taking off the shoe and then taking off the sock, right? Same thing here. If I'm going to add to a number and then multiply by 5, to undo it, I'm going to divide by 5 and then subtract. Yes? All right. You're working backwards. All right, next one. So what if I asked you to square a number and then subtract 2? There we go. Yes. Oh, yes. All right. All right. The last one. So the last one says square a number and then subtract 2. Glory, what did you say?
Add square root the number.
There we go. That's how we would undo what we just did. Yes? Okay. All right. Now we're going to get to the notes part. So in your handy dandy notebook, you're going to turn on page 77 horizontally, and you're going to create a 2x3 box or space. It doesn't need to be a box. You can just draw the lines. Do not necessarily create a box, but you're going to create. So we're going to divide, turn horizontally, and we're going to create 2 rows and 3 columns. Yeah.
Whole paper?
The whole page. Page 77. That's the goal. Now, how big you write is going to dictate how much space you take up. Some of you do not write very big, some of you do. So, in our first box, the first column, we're going to be writing the equations translated into words. So I'm going to give you an equation and we're going to write it in Word. Okay. In the second column, we're going to do the inverse actions of what we wrote in words. And then in the third column, we're going to solve it algebraically. Got it? All right. Whether you got it or not, here we go. Okay. Don't be so dramatic. All right. In your first box, you're writing 2x plus 4 equals 8. All you can do is draw some lines, sir. You do 3 lines. What are you doing?
So what do we have to do again?
In box 1, all I've asked you so far is to write 2x plus 4 equals 8. Okay? Sure. Whatever floats your boat, write it. All right. Now, what I want you to do is this goes back to middle school. In words, using math words, you're going to write a math sentence explaining 2x plus 4 equals 8. Write a math sentence explaining 2x plus 4 equals 8. No, just math sentence, not a word problem, just a sentence.
Oh, so just a sentence that says 2x plus 4 equals 8?
No, you are overthinking it. No, okay.
Wow.
The fact that y'all are spelling the numbers is concerning. So we're gonna do this together.
So,
Okay.
so we write, how do you spell
Okay.
Shh. Is it try them?
Thank you, Jacory. That's all we needed. X plus 2, X times 2 plus 4 equals 8. Is that not what this is?
No, I think that's the
Okay. Okay. X times 2. So when you're writing a math sentence, you're telling me what operation I need to do. Okay. So when I'm writing a math sentence, I'm telling you the operation. X represents any number, right? So if I'm going to write it, I can write a number multiplied by 2 plus 4 equals 8. You're not spelling out the words 2, 4, and 8, guys. You can write the numbers.
Well, you just said write it in the sentence.
This is a sentence. A number multiplied by 2 plus 4 equals 8. Is that not a sentence? It is. Okay. When you're writing out a sentence, you're saying what order of operations you're going to solve this in. Okay. Do we remember our order of operations?
Yes.
What are our order of operations? PIMDAS. I heard it. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay. PIMDAS. Remember multiplying, dividing. That is going to be from left to right, adding and subtracting, left to right. It doesn't matter which comes, it matters which one comes first once it's down to that. Okay. So the first thing I would do is I will multiply a number by 2. The second thing I would do is plus 4. Did you have to necessarily use the word multiply?
Yeah.
No, you could have used times, right? Did you have to use the word plus? No, you could have used add. Remember, there's a bunch of words that I can substitute in for each other, right? Okay, now we're going to do our inverse actions. The inverse actions is undoing this sentence. Okay, just like we just practiced out loud, undoing simple sentence, we're going to start from the end of the sentence and work our way backwards, correct?
Yeah. Wait, what?
We're going to start at the end of the sentence and work our way backwards. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so the last part was plus 4 equals 8. How am I going to undo that?
Minus 4.
8
Okay.
4.
There, what we say? 8 minus 4. And then what are we going to do? Divide by 2. So could you write subtract? Yes. Could you write 8 minus 4? But you're undoing what you wrote. Subtract 4 from 8. Then divide the difference by 2. Huh? You do not.
It's not 8.
I thought it was $10.
PIMDAS is when you are evaluating. Okay. Now, Jalen brought up a good point. Well, not a good confusion point. Point of confusion. He thought you always use PIMDAS. That's when you're evaluating, right? When I'm evaluating, I use PIMDAS. But when I'm solving, I work backwards. Okay. When you're solving, I like to call it SADMAP.
Oh,
Okay. You're going to SADMAP it. It's going to get a little sad because you got to undo it. You're undoing what you did. Okay. You're going to SADMAP, which means you're going to start with, is there anything I can add or subtract away? Is there anything I can divide or multiply away? Is there an exponent I need to get rid of? Are there parentheses I now can focus on? You SADMAP, you work yourself backwards, okay? When you are evaluating, PIMDAS, but when you are inverse acting, that is going to be a SADMAP situation. Got it? All right, so now we're going to take what we know and we're going to use it to our skills. So 2x plus 4 equals 8. If I want to undo this, according to my inverse actions, what is the first thing I need to do? Subtract 4. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. So now we're left with 2x equals 4. Then what do we say we're going to do? Divide the difference by 2. Is that what we did? And so we know that x equals 2. Okay? If your inverse actions lead to an answer, then you did it correct. If your inverse action leads to confusion, then you did something wrong. Okay? Yes? All right. How do we feel so far? Simple? All right, let's try another one.
Oh. 3x squared equals 17.
So we have 3x squared equals 17. And we need to write a mathematical sentence to represent this. What's the first thing you have to deal with, according to PIMDAS? The square. So how do I write it? It's my first starting of my sentence. What? Say it, guys. No. I have to deal with the square first because PEMDAS says deal with your exponent. There we go. A number squared. Then what's the next thing I'm going to do? Times 3 or multiplied by 3 equals 17. Okay? You could have written a number times itself or a number to the second power. Does it matter how you write that? No, as long as you understand that that number is being squared.
Right, a number.
Because X, what does X represent? You're not writing X, you're writing what X represents. And X represents a number or an unknown. Yes? All right. So what would be my inverse action sentence?
First action. Square root of
Start from the end of the sentence and work your way. It's not much.
17 minus the square root of
There we go.
equals 3. No, divided by 3. Right?
17, working our sentence backwards. So the first thing is multiply by 3 equals 17. So what am I do here? 17 divided by 3. And then what do I do with that? And I'm going to square root what is the solution of a division problem called?
Quotient.
The quotient. So we're going to divide 17 by 3, then take the square root of the quotient. What we just said. What's a quotient? There we go.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's an old thing. That's an old term.
it is. I'm a little concerned that I won't be. What do you mean it's me?
Right. Jones knows that quote because he said.
What?
It's something you should have learned in elementary school.
Oh, I did not learn this in the.
My 4th grade son had asked me, helping him over his homework, is my quotient correct? You know why? Because he did a division problem and he wanted to know if his answer to the division problem was correct. Yes.
What school did he go to?
That has nothing to do with it. His teacher taught him this.
But
He's
he
in
got
4th grade.
He got an advance.
That has nothing to do. I didn't teach him. His teacher did.
You can't teach it.
But I didn't.
But you had somebody. You
I did not. All right, here we go. So, following our rules that we said for our inverse actions, we're going to solve for x, correct? So, we have 3x squared equals 17. What did we tell ourselves to do? Divide 17 by 3. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So, now I'm left with x squared equals 17 thirds. Fractions are our friends. Leave them alone. Okay, then what did we tell ourselves to do? We're going to take the square root. So we're going to take the square root of our quotient. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So we're left with x equals the square root of 17 divided by 13. 3. I didn't mean to write 13. That is the answer.
It's gonna be 5 point.
That's an answer. This is exact and simplified. You mean approximate? No, I'm not going to put in a calculator to approximate. That's an approximate. No, that's an approximation. This is simplified. Everything is reduced. Everything is simplified. This is the smallest it can go. 17 over 3 can't be reduced. That's an approximation.
I'll play a song.
This is recorded evidence that we have a problem in the lower grades. All right. So, how do you feel? Okay. So, for the rest of the period, this is what you're doing. This is your assignment for the rest of the period. So, for the assignment, you're getting your own paper. This is a suggested format. You do not have to set up your paper like this. It is a suggested format. But for each problem, you're going to write the equation and translate it into words. That's part A. Part B, you're going to write the inverse actions in words. And then part C, you're going to solve. Is that anything different than our notes? No. Okay. Number 6 is a bonus. Because it's one we haven't necessarily learned how to do yet. So you got to do a little extra work to learn how to do it. Those are required. Okay? Very carefully. All right. You are encouraged to work together. Shh. Guys, I'm about to release you. You're encouraged to work together, but you have approximately 27 minutes left in class to do 5 problems. As long as you are on task, you're fine.